What's up, you guys? Welcome back to Steve's Project Car Garage. My name is Steve. Today we're going to be working on the engine again, taking measurements, trying to get some ideas of what the tolerances are for certain things, and then we're going to put together a plan of action to go ahead and get this thing reassembled and take it from there. So stick around and grab yourself a cup of jitter juice. All right, so in my haste to disassemble the engine, one of the things that I failed to take note of was the camshaft end float. So the camshaft end float should be between 4.5 thou and I think 8.5 thou. And so I got my gauge here, and I've already measured this once, but I was like, that just doesn't seem right, because honestly, the spec is higher than what we have here. And so we're just going to go ahead and move this here. You can see that really I've only got about 1 thou, 1.5 maybe. And so I'm curious about that, because I mean, this is the original parts, so either I don't have this reassembled correctly, or it's just a really nice tight fit. But I mean, the camshaft itself does move nicely, you know, and it moved nicely to begin with. So I guess that maybe it's just got a nice tight tolerance from the factory. Let me know what you think in the comments, but that has got me a little bit perplexed. All right, so I thought I would try something different. So I flipped the retainer plate over because I noticed that there was a little bit of a groove in it from the cam. And in doing so, I've got my feeler gauge out, and this is my 4 thou feeler gauge, and it just makes it. So I think that actually, if I just flip this guy around, I should be able to get another 52 years out of it. That seems to give me the clearance that I need, and I don't think that I'll be able to get anything thicker in there. I got the 5 thou right here. And we do the 5 thou, and yeah, 5 thou does not go. So I think that we're good. I feel a lot better about that, and I'll just have to take note. And let me get this retainer plate off, and I'll show you what I was talking about. All right, so I pull the retainer off, and you can see here there's just a little bit of wear along here. My fingernail catches the edge, but I mean, there's really not much. So with the plate facing this way, that seems to give me the right measurements that I'm looking for. With it this way, it was a little tighter, which is super interesting. So let me know what you think in the comments. I mean, honestly, this is probably a relatively inexpensive part, but I don't want to replace it if I don't have to, because tolerances are seemingly pretty good. So anyways, let's keep cracking forward. All right, so now one of the next things that we want to do is inspect the crank. I've already given it a quick overview with Chris back when we tore this apart, and we did find that there is some slight scoring on the rod journals for where the rod bearings go. You can rub your fingernail across it and you can feel it get caught. It's not anything crazy, so I am going to try to sand it with emery paper just to see if I can smooth it out. You can't get replacements for these, so the only option would be to go ahead and get it reground. And so I really want to try to avoid that if possible. What we want to do, though, is we are going to go ahead and check the main bearings. So we're going to check here, here, and here. And we want to check to make sure that they're not out of round. So I have a digital micrometer here that can read in the thousands. And essentially what we're going to do is we're going to take a measurement in one position and then take a measurement in another position, pretty much turning it 90. So we'll go like here and then like this. And as long as we don't have any variance of more than 1/1000th of an inch, then we don't really have to worry about having these reground. Again, fingers crossed, we don't have that, but let's go ahead and take a look. All right, so let's go ahead and see here if we can try to get some decent measurements with my caliper. These main bearings should be pretty much like 2 inches, straight on 2 inches. So that's 2 1/1000th. I get 2.5 thousandth, so that one seems to be good. And we're dead on. So I don't think we have any issues with these not being round. I'm pretty sure these are nicely rounded. I guess then the next thing that I would want to do is take a look for spec on the journals for the rods. So let me go ahead and take a moment to check that and see what else we need to check on this guy. All right, so I checked the journals here, and these all seem to be true, and with no large variance greater than 1/1000th of an inch. So I think we're pretty good to go on the journals as far as everything being round. What I do need to do though is address some of these little scores. So again, it's hard to see. If you run your finger over it, you're not going to feel anything. There's this one here though that is a little more pronounced. I'm going to see what I can do with emery paper on this, and a little bit of ATF just to clean up all of these journals, see if I can get them nice and clean. But I mean, when you run your fingernail across it, you can feel a little bit of stuff. It's not crazy, but this one here is the most, and so I'm hoping I can get this with emery cloth. If I can't, then that means I have to get this whole thing reground, and that'll probably run me a few $100. But so that's what we got there with the crank. I'm gonna see if I can get that cleaned up a little bit, and then we're gonna keep on checking out things and getting measurements. All right, so now that I know that the crank is round for all the different journals, I want to take a look and show you the various bearings. So this is the rear bearing, and the middle bearing, and then the front bearing. These bearings are all shot, and so you can tell because you're seeing copper come through. And so when you see the copper start to show through, that is a clear indicator that these bearings are done. I was going to use plastic gauge to go ahead and actually take a measurement of them. There's no point though, because these things have worn through and they're completely done. And so when I'm taking a look at these guys, you can see the part number. I don't know if it's going to focus or not. Yeah, anyways, you can see the part number, and these are original stock bearings. There's no oversize or anything to these. So I know that as long as I don't have to regrind the crank, which fingers crossed I don't, and there goes my thrust washer, I should be good. Now, taking a look at the thrust washers, you can see that these guys, I know from a measurement perspective, we're pretty worn down, but like when I was testing the end float, for instance, but you can see that these guys are definitely, it's not focusing, but you can see that these guys are definitely worn, without a doubt. So we'll get new replacement thrust washers. And again, we'll get some of the ones that Aaron was talking about from customthrustwasher.com. So anyways, know we got new bearings that are coming, so add those to the list. New thrust washers, add those to the list. Got to spend some time on these journals with a little bit of the emery paper, and I'll see what I can do there. But let's keep pressing on and see what else we can check out before we run. All right, so now one of the steps that I was kind of worried about needs to be taken, and that is to check the bores. So upon initial inspection, the bores look pretty good, but I don't have an actual micrometer to be able to measure the bores size at the bottom of the bore. I don't have a bore micrometer to be able to do that. So according to the guide in the handbook, you can take a piston and remove the rings from the piston, and then go ahead and place the piston into the bore. And then what you want to do is get it to be about 3/4 of an inch below the top of the bore, and using a 10,000th of an inch feeler gauge, see if it fits into the bore between the piston and the actual bore. If it 10,000ths can go in or higher, then you need to go ahead and re-sleeve the bore or rebore it, and then put in oversized pistons. I'm going to go ahead and try this. I'm a little worried, so let's see what happens. So I got my 10,000ths, and it's in there, but it's actually holding the piston in, so I mean it's in there pretty tight. So I mean that's tight. I'm gonna try it with 11 thou. And that's really tight. Okay, so let's go to the next. Again, about 3/4 of an inch below the bottom with the 10 thou. That goes in, but again, if I let it go, it's holding it tight, so that's pretty tight. Okay, 10 thou. Again, it goes in, so I kind of think we might need to get these rebored. I really was hoping to not do that. And again, here, 10 thou fits nicely. But again, it's tight, like it holds the cylinder in place. So, there's that. But please give me your thoughts in the comments about this, because based upon those measurements, if that really is what it is, then I think that we're going to have to send this off to a machine shop to get them to rebore it. I was really kind of hoping to not have to do that from a financial perspective, but if I'm in this deep, I really should probably do it. All right, well, let's keep on and see what's going on further down. We're back. Now, it's been a couple of days. When I did the video earlier, I did not have telescoping gauge bore. Bore gauge. Yes, telescoping bore gauge. I went out and I got some. But according to the manual, it says that as long as you take a measurement at the top, right underneath the ridge, and then at the bottom of the cylinder where there's no wear, and there's no difference of greater than 6 thou, then you're good to go. You have no problems. So let's go ahead and take a couple of measurements, see what we got, and start jotting it down and go from there. So we're going to start with the first measurement right above, or right below the ridge. .896. Okay. I'm going to loosen that up a little bit, and we'll just tighten it back down. .895, okay. And down at the very bottom where there should be the least bit of wear. .894, and that's almost no wear on these. It's very consistent numbers. So now let's go ahead and go from a different direction. .898. I guess I should start jotting these down. .896. hard to get these square on. 2.894. All right, so I'm gonna let you guys go. I'm gonna keep knocking these out and I'll come back to you with some numbers. All right, got some numbers. So I actually was just doing a YouTube live. Haven't done one of those in ages. So if you joined in, tuned in, thanks so much for doing so. It was good to hang out and chat with some of y'all. So, numbers. We are doing really good. So cylinder 1, 2.897, 2.896 for the top, center 2.894, 2.896, bottoms 2.895, 2.893. So I did all the numbers. I did what Elin said to do. So I got all my numbers. Everything looks really, really good. Nothing's out of spec. Nothing is even actually close to being out of spec. Everything's pretty much within 3 thou instead of 6 thou, which is where they say you got to go ahead and, you know, hone it, or not hone it, but, you know, re-sleeve it or bore it for that matter. So really, really, really good there. So I'm super stoked with these numbers. I still have to measure the pistons, but the preliminary measurements, I have that on the pistons, show that they look pretty good. They're always going to be out of round, as Elin had discovered when doing a 68 Spitfire engine. But the next thing I want to do is use my flat edge here and just check the actual block itself. So let me get set up for you guys and I'll show you what we got. All right, so I checked this earlier off camera, but I'll show you right now, and I'm checking it here. That is flat as can be. That is nice and flat. Everything on it looks really, really good. I've got no concerns about this guy being flat. I am going to go ahead and, of course, check the cylinder head. So, yeah, in fact, why don't we go ahead and move over to the bench and I will show you the cylinder head and we'll talk about that. All right, on to the cylinder head. So let's go ahead and just throw our straight edge on this. Yeah, I mean, this thing looks pretty good to me. Let me check guess across here too. Yeah, it's good. So let me show you what we got going on here with the valve seats. So let's see. Chris tried to go ahead and clean up this guy a little bit. And it's got a lot of pitting. I can see a good decent bit of pitting on all of the exhaust seats. And so what I think I'll end up doing is getting those pulled out and hardened seats put in. Elin said that they won't do both typically because they need them to be touching. And so what he not only does is just the exhaust seats. So that's probably what I'll end up doing. It's got to find a local machine shop that can do that. I'll give this head a nice good cleaning, get everything removed from it, strip it down even further because it still has the studs from the valve train on it. But I think that this is going to be the only thing that goes off to the machine shop. I should be able to polish this guy up, and I mean the cam's in good shape, but I think that with the money I'm saving on not going to a machine shop with the block, I will end up putting into a mild road cam. Because why not? I was going to say because race car, but this is definitely not a race car. Anyways, let's go ahead and wrap up this video. All right, so that's where we're going to wrap up for the night. This is actually now the third outro that I've filmed for this, 2 of which were filmed a few nights ago. I was ready to give up and bring this to a machine shop because I was trying to do it with those feeler gauges, which by the book is a way to go ahead and do it. But really the right way to do it is to use those telescoping bore gauges or to actually get a dial bore gauge. But we know the block is good, so there's no need for a machine shop on the block. Nice flat deck on both the head and this. Hardened valve seats. That should be the extent of the work that we need on that. So, If you haven't done so already, please make sure you go ahead and hit the subscribe button, click the bell to get those post notifications. And when working on project cars like this, especially the engine, get the right measurement tools. And lastly, don't be that dreaded previous owner. Cheers.